He said, the greatest obstacle or challenge that I'm facing is myself. What holds me back the most is my limiting beliefs and attitudes, my lack of self-discipline, my lack of self-esteem, my bad habits, and so forth. So what he is talking about, and what we're talking about when we use the word mold, is really something we could call self-leadership. Self-leadership is that entire process by which you mold your character and you manage it in your day-to-day life. Right from when you get up, the way you lead, control, and influence yourself in order to achieve your goals. And this thing is a challenge for all of us because our human natures have these inbuilt weaknesses. We get tired, we get tempted, we get distracted, we get lazy, we get stressed, we get discouraged, we develop bad habits. We struggle to find that balance between self-indulgence and self-discipline. And all these things make us to be inconsistent. And inconsistency makes people to doubt us. It also makes us to doubt ourselves. So we're talking about molding our characters, but self-leadership and discipline is the bridge from where you are now to where you want to go next. I think this bridge is in Tanzania, right? Does that look familiar to you? But get this concept. Self-leadership or self-discipline is the bridge. You know, you're young, you have many ambitions, you have many dreams, but this is the bridge that will take you from where you are now to where you want to go next. There's no other way. You just can't fluke your way through life hoping to land in things. You have to be able to mold your character, direct the direction of your destiny. There's a famous quotation by a man called Lao Tzu. He was this Chinese philosopher that lived hundreds of years ago. But he said, "He who controls others may be powerful, but he who has mastered himself is mightier still." So that's the word mold. The word character. Character, yeah, we're just using it today to mean all that combination of habits that I have, that you have, the behaviors and the morals that forms your personality, and we could say your nature. For example, on the positive side, we speak of a man or woman of fine, honorable, or noble character. In Kiswahili, as Jordan said, the word there could be tabia. Tabia is probably the best definition of it, and so we're talking about tabia ya maadili. Is that correct? Maadili. Tabia ya maadili. Did I pronounce it right? Close? Okay. Yeah, so this is really mostly about moral character. Moral character means that people of good moral character have developed the qualities that brought out that best version of themselves. Qualities like integrity, trustworthy, respect, responsibility, fairness, caring, and service to others. Why is this really important for you as leaders? You know, it's important for everyone, but most especially for you who are emerging leaders. Almost all studies show that you people who are in leadership at the university level, you tend to become the leaders in the society and the nation in the future. But there's a nice quotation that says, "A society cannot rise above the character of its leaders." I think it's John Maxwell. He said, without better leadership at all levels of society, we'll never see that better world that Jordan was talking about. And everywhere in the world, at all levels of society, there's a need for more harmony, more order, more peace, more kindness, more love of neighbor, more justice, development, and less corruption, less waste, less pain, less suffering, less conflict, less poverty. In short, it's a world that works for everybody, not just let's say the European countries, the Western countries. But as it happens, there'll be better access to jobs, education, healthcare. So this is really why we focus on nurturing these noble character qualities in our leaders. And when you look at any list of traits of good leadership, they're really just pointing to someone's character. They're self-motivated, they have humility, they care for others, they have emotional intelligence, self-discipline. I work a lot with the young people, and a lot of young people, they're really focused on appearance. Sometimes I come into a meeting like this and people are looking at what kind of shoes is he wearing, the coat, and does he have a big expensive watch? Like, we have so much equated leadership with things that have nothing to do with someone's capacity to govern. We're looking at the physical appearance and we're voting people based on how they appear. Sometimes how they speak. But there's a lot of people who speak really well, but when you look behind there's not a lot of actions or fruits to what they are doing. So I just encourage you to think of good leadership in terms of character. And where does this character come from? It's really clear that these are strong convictions that get rooted within us. It's my experience that our mentors, our parents, our teachers are largely responsible for molding character when we're young. So this is why in AYLF we seek to teach and inculcate these values, principles, and characters into young leaders. This has been an extremely busy year for me. I travel throughout the region speaking. I don't normally do this, but this year I totaled up how many people I have taught. And every time I speak, they give me a different topic. But this year, by the end of this year, I will have taught 10,000 people in this region. And it's just it's a platform God has given me. But I just feel like if I can use this chance to just help the young generations come up with better values than what we have seen in the past, that we'll see a better future for us. The scriptures say, train up a child in the way they should go and they will not depart from it. And I like this African proverb that you are familiar with that says, if you want to straighten a tree, you must do it when you are young. My first degree was in agriculture. I like trees, I like flowers. I have a property that's on the Nile River in Jinja, and just 2 days ago, I planted 30 trees, these tropical indigenous trees. And sometimes when a tree is growing, you can see it starting to bend like this, and you have to get a kamba, you tie it, and you'll get the thing growing straight. But if you wait, and that tree grows up and it's bent over, it's almost impossible to shift it when it's a mature tree. Okay, we're just about to leave this section of character, but I came across this diagram, and it says these are the things that create our sense of vision and purpose in life, that give us that kind of compass on how we'll live our lives. When you look at this top one, life purpose, I've seen this as to be extremely important. I think all these are what make up and distinguish one individual from another. I just wanted to take this one of life purpose. You can see in the middle of it, there is freedom of choice. It's our ability to choose what we want. But this aspect of purpose to me is very key. And I like this quotation by Miles Monroe. He said, "The greatest tragedy in life is not death, but a life without a purpose." And then he said, "Where purpose is not known, abuse is inevitable." Meaning, if you don't understand this gift of life you've been given, if you're not clear about why you're on the planet and what you should be doing, you'll kind of waste this opportunity, you'll kind of waste the thing that has been entrusted to you. But what is this life purpose? What is the object of the game of life? This is a question I've been asking myself since I was 19 years old. And I've discovered that most people really don't know why they're on this planet. This planet is supposed to be 4.5 billion years old, according to the scientists. The system we are in is 14 billion years old. But we come here for a short time. And it seems how we live this life, whether it's 60, 70, 80, 90 years, determines where we will go in the next chapter of things. But where purpose is not known, abuse is inevitable. So all around us, we see people who are not playing the game of life very well. And surprisingly, in life, people don't seem to know what is the object of the game. So in football, everybody knows, who's this guy right here? What's his name? Boys, you know this guy. Ronaldo, what's he trying to do? He's trying to put the ball in the back of the net, as they say. Even here in Africa, when there's no net, people know the ball. In football, the purpose of the game is to get the ball there. But what do we see in life? We see people playing the game with really no understanding of what is the purpose of the game, what is the object of the game. They play it very chaotically, carelessly. They should be given red cards or yellow cards, because where purpose is not known, abuse is inevitable. So until you really understand and clarify for yourself, this is something you have to dig deep and figure out. What am I doing with my life? How will I live my life? If you don't know the object of the game of life, you'll be playing the game aimlessly, and you won't be motivated to mold your character for greatness. All right, after about 40 years of spiritual research, I've come to the conclusion that we're on this planet for two main reasons. I see that this planet seems to be some kind of a school. It's a boarding school. We leave God, we come down here, and we spend a little bit of time. We're coming here to learn and to grow. So life is kind of a school for souls, and there are many lessons to be learned. And then where do we go? We go back to God. As our Muslim brothers and sisters, whenever they're burying someone, they say these words. Ana Aila wa Ana Aila. What is it? How does it go? Rajun. Arabic speakers, it means I came from God, and to God I'm going back. So I'd love you to see your life in this sense. That you're just here for a short time. There are many lessons here. Souls are coming here continuously to learn and to grow. But you're also sent here to carry out a particular mission or assignment which is uniquely your own. And it takes some time to figure out what is your mission. To audience of your age, I usually tell you that it's around age 30 that young people like yourself start to be in a space where they begin to feel like, I think this is where I fit in the world. During your teenage years and your 20 years in your 20s, you're still accumulating experiences, you're still trying to find upon him. He was in his 30s when he had the revelation of the Quran, and then he began his movement as well. So just be patient with that process. It's not easy. And one of the questions young people ask me the most is, how do I discover my mission? I think the purpose is the same for all of us. It's these two things, but each of us has a unique mission or assignment to be an influence in the spaces that God has put us. Oprah Winfrey, probably the most influential woman alive today, says it's like this: I consider this earth to be like a school, and her life is the classrooms of this planet Earth school. And the secret I've learned is being open to the lessons from the grandest university of all, and that is the universe itself. Okay, moving on, let's look at this word greatness. How does this word sit with you? Greatness. Mold your character for greatness. There's, I think, a lot of ambivalence around it. It just seems intimidating. And I would say to you, don't be afraid of that word greatness. Because the way that God defines greatness is something that is attainable by each and every person in this room. You know, when Jesus was walking with his disciples on earth, they used to argue among themselves as who would be the greatest in the kingdom of heaven. And Jesus never rebuked their desire for greatness, but he completely redefined it in a different way from how they were understanding it. So they used to argue among themselves, or human beings were always trying to position ourselves. He didn't rebuke their desire, he just reoriented it. And Martin Luther King Jr. has this quotation that speaks to what Jesus said, because Jesus said, "Whoever would be greatest among you, let him be the servant." And Martin Luther King Jr. said, "Everybody can be great because everybody can serve." Now imagine in your own thinking, it doesn't really seem that greatness is equated by being a servant. It seems counterintuitive. And that's why the way that the world understands greatness is usually quite different from the way that God sees greatness. What kind of greatness are we looking for in the world today? The media is constantly showing the young people these images of young celebrities, and they become like role models. I was in a conference with the youth, I think it was a high school conference, and one of the girls said, this lady, what's her name? Nina Mayinja or something? What is it? What? Okay. You know her better than I do. She said, this is my role model. This is how we see it. Boys might say, Ronaldo or Messi. Here in Tanzania, if you ask who's the greatest young woman today, someone might say, these current TV music stars like, who's this one? Zuchu, Sukari. So these are the icons that we are looking up to as young people. This guy, of course, is known all over the world right now, especially because he decided to join Donald Trump in the recent elections. And a lot of young people, they aspire for wealth, and they look at this man, Elon Musk, as great, truly great. Yes, financially, I think he's probably the richest man on the planet. Some people say that Putin is more than him, but we don't know. But when you look at the social area of his life, this man has been divorced 3 times. He has not spoken to his father in years. One of his daughters has changed her name and doesn't even want to see him again. So how do you describe greatness if you only defined it in the financial area? There's a famous book called A to Be Great. I think it has some good topics in it. It was written by this guy called Richard St. John. He interviewed 500 people from around the world. These people that we consider successful. And he came up with this book called 8 to Be Great. And he came up with 8 common traits that are found in successful people. To me, it's more about success than greatness. But again, this is how most people define greatness. He said, and these are good things. These things help us to maximize our potential. Find your passion, work hard, focus, push yourself, be creative. Number 6, constantly improve. Number 7, this was a surprise to me. Find ways to add values to others. He found that these people who were really great, let's say Steve Jobs and his buddy, they created something, a phone that added value to people. And then number 8, he said, persist. Okay, when you look at these, actually they're defining success, not greatness. And all of us, we have this image of success in young people here in Africa to get your education, to get a job, to get married, maybe to help your mother build a house, educate your younger siblings. All of these things are good, but they don't necessarily lead to greatness. For God, this is not enough. He's challenging us, especially those of us who've been given opportunities. To whom much is given, much is expected. We're challenged to add value and help contribute our talents to build a better world. So I like to say that success comes from what we are going to do for ourselves. But things like significance and greatness, they actually come from what we do for others. You see that? Success comes from what we will do for ourselves, but significance and greatness are only achieved by what we do for others. Nelson Mandela put it this way: what counts in life is not the mere fact that we have lived, it's what difference have we made to the lives of others that will determine the significance, or we could say the greatness, of the life we have lived. So I think this morning, mold your character for greatness. Think about that word greatness. And realize that the way that the world perceives it is different from the way that God perceives it. In my life, I've studied and met many people that are truly great. But I've discovered that to be great is not to be wealthy. This drug dealer who was very prominent in the 90s, they say that at the time of his death, he would actually be worth more than Elon Musk in terms of the dollar value of that time. But he was a drug dealer and he was killed in that process. Idi Amin in Uganda was very famous, but he's not going to go down in history as being great. So it's not about money, it's not about how famous you are, it's not necessarily either how powerful you are. I think the legacy that Putin is going to have historically is going to be very poor. He's extremely powerful, but he's misused his power. And many of the greatest people that we admire and respect, they don't necessarily have great military or political power. So it's up to you to choose. Yes, fame, money, power, there's nothing wrong with them. They're good as long as they're used for good. So these things are good things, but realize that they are meaningless before God, especially when they're misused. And this is why Jesus said, many who are first in this current society on earth will be last in heaven. And many who are last now will be first. Okay, so winding up here, I see three consistent qualities of the truly greats. When you look down through history, you see these three things are very consistent. I would put Mwalimu Nyerere in this group as well. He embodies these. Three things that the truly greats that we remember in history as being great have. Number one, they have service beyond self. They're not just trying to find success for themselves, but they're wanting to add value for that better world and a brighter future. Number two, I'm going to just speed up here because of time, but you can see in this one here, service beyond self. The greatest of the greats, they give their lives for something bigger than just me and my family. They serve society, they serve humanity. Number two, these great people often are characterized by humility. There are people that know that I'm not really much better or different from others. Maybe the good people see in me. It's because I was born into certain circumstances that helped me develop my potentials. And one precept of Jesus that he said more than any other is this one. Whoever exalts themselves will be humbled down, and those who humble themselves will be exalted. So the greatest of the greats, they're simple people, they're humble. They don't worry so much about the titles, the fancy cars, the big houses. So the second one is humility, and the last one is what I talked about earlier, unconditional love. The greatest of the greats see humanity as one family. They lack prejudice, nationalistic, political affiliation, tribal, racist, and religious biases. They see every human being created in the image of their Father, which makes everyone His dream wasn't that one day the blacks would conquer America. His dream was like this. He said, I have a dream that one day a little black boy and a little white boy will walk to school hand in hand. And you see this was Mandela. He comes out of prison and he forgives and unites the country. So these three things, service beyond self, humility, and unconditional love, to me, are the things that characterize true greatness. And just realize, these things are within reach of every single person in this room. These are what God and history considers as the qualities of the truly great. So by far the greatest and most influential people have been those who have cultivated that spiritual side of life that gives them the values of service to others, rather than just pursuing money, fame, or status. All right, so when we summarize this first section, and then I'll quickly conclude with the second, molding your character for greatness, we mean bringing out that best version of yourself, cultivating those godly and noble character qualities that our scriptures talk about, and which our greatest icons exemplified for us. Now, when we, in conclusion, look at the second part of our presentation today, it was a big theme. I could have talked on each of these alone, but they combine two things. Mold your character for greatness is the first. The second is maximize your leadership potential. So I'll just say a few words about this as we conclude. Again, all this is in the notes. You'll get this. So when we look at the word maximize to start out with, we see the same thing. There's a range before us. There's a lot of range of possible outcomes to our lives and our actions. And there's a possibility for some other. Why should I struggle to grow and develop my potential? Because without a clear why, you won't be interested in what I have to say. Without a clear why, you won't make the sacrifices. And without a clear why, you won't try to develop your potentials. Just like a small fire cannot produce much heat, a weak motivation cannot produce great results. So to maximize your leadership potential, you're going to have to clarify things like, what is my purpose? What is my mission? Why am I doing all this? What is my motivation? If you get a strong motivation, it pushes you mpaka last. You just keep going, you keep moving forward. People ask me, what's my motivation? I've been doing this 30 years. I want to graduate from the University of Life with a first-class degree, to graduate with honors. I want to hear God say these 7 words. Well done, my good and faithful servant. I want to get that full reward. The Bible talks about a reward, and it talks about a full reward. Jesus spoke about rewards 40 times. It's hardly emphasized in our teachings today in our churches. So to me it means that this life is just short, and if I invest it well, it has an implication on what is coming next. So that's really the aspect of this word maximize. Now moving to the word potential. Potential means having the capacity to develop into something. You know, we hear this a lot in motivational literature, that there's like a giant within us. There's something big within us. You could put it like this on a scale. You could be a 0 or you can be a hero. All of us have this huge range of possible outcomes for what might become in this lifetime. Les Brown said, the graveyard is the greatest, is the most richest place on earth. Because here, You will find books that were never written, dreams that were never developed, businesses that were never started, etc. Because all people buried their potential. So Miles Monroe, this book you can get it online as a PDF. It's a good one. You just Google it, you'll see how to download it. But it says, potential is dormant ability, untapped strength, unused success, hidden talents, and covered up capabilities. And he says, in every seed there's a tree, and in every tree there's potential fruit with seeds in them. So to maximize your potential is really just to bring out that best version of you, to develop your talents, to utilize your capabilities fully. There are many factors, but let me highlight these two. I've just spoken about the aspect of motivation. The next one is about our beliefs. You really have to look at your beliefs. Understand what is in your mind in terms of how you believe about these things. There are two very critical types of beliefs that we all have. Number one is limiting beliefs. The second is empowering beliefs. These things really have enormous potential over us. So to maximize your potential starts with your beliefs. If you start off life thinking, I can't do that, I'm not meant for that, I'm not worthy of that, you will limit what you are capable of, you will block your potential. Those are limiting beliefs. But if you can begin with empowering beliefs, like I can make it, I'll figure it out, it can be done, I'll learn, I'll find a way, these things really keep you going. There's a beautiful story about this, it's called the pencil story. It's a true story. And it's a story about a teacher who needed a pencil. And she asked one of her nicest students if she could borrow a pencil from her. And as she was sharpening it, she noticed there were some writings on the pencil with a marking pen. And it was some kind of an inspirational thought. So she asked the student, who wrote this? And the student said that his mother writes an inspirational thought for him on every pencil she buys. She just takes a small marking pen. And then he told her that he had many more, and he opened up his pencil case. And what he showed her melted her heart. It was this whole collection with these writings. Things were written there. You are so talented. This will be a great year for you. You are creative. You are phenomenal. You have a brilliant mind. You are a problem solver. I mean, it probably took his mom just a few minutes to do this, but it continued to light up the day of this young person. And thanks to his mother, his mind was filled with empowering beliefs. All right? So maximize your leadership potential. Potential, we've talked about it, now I just want to conclude with leadership. What is leadership? Why do we focus on leadership? Joram talked about it because really, everything rises and falls on leadership. The history of any community's triumphs and failures is largely the story of its leaders, who either led the people in ways that allowed the society to experience greater harmony, or they led people in ways that brought more conflict, destruction, and suffering. Okay, we may not be world leaders, but right now we can start to develop our potential by exerting an influence over the spaces where we live right now. And it's up to us to make these divine values a reality and to bring the kingdom of God more and more in all the small little ways that we behave and talk and live onto earth. Okay, as I conclude, a few thoughts about the AYLF approach to leadership. I could say there's, just briefly, again, I'll give you the notes. There are four kind of major schools of thought, we could call them, within the field of leadership that we like to champion. The first is the concept of servant leadership. Servant leadership. Servant leadership leaders see themselves as serving the people first and foremost. The second is transformational leadership. These are entire schools of thoughts that are really combined in our ideology and philosophy as AYLF. Transformational leadership. This is where leaders come up with a way forward. They champion a better way forward. Number three, the concept of super leadership. This is a kind of leadership that is creating more leaders, not just followers. Right now, there's this huge emphasis on the youth. How many followers do you have? How many followers have you developed? Super leadership says, how many leaders have you developed? So it's not just making followers, but it's empowering, coaching, mentoring, and enabling others. And this is a huge problem we have in Africa, because we have these very powerful leaders, but they've never created successors. They've never mentored people. So when they leave, there's like this big gap that is developed. So just think about this. The first one is servant leadership. The second is transformational leadership. The third, super leadership. And then the fourth we would put into AYLF is still an emerging school of thought, but it's called Ubuntu leadership. There are things that the African culture does better than the Western cultures. And it's an African style of leadership that is related to the philosophy of Ubuntu. In other words, it's just saying that a leader is not above or below the followers, but is one with them and leads from within the community. And this is something uniquely found in the African context. So just in summary, AYLF looks at these four schools of thought, and we combine them: servant leadership, transformational leadership, super leadership, and Ubuntu leadership. All right. I often like to give youth, you can write these down. This is a very simple formula for learning to express or maximize your leadership. Number one is step up. Whenever you see a responsibility, move toward it. In coaching and mentoring young leaders in Africa for the last 30 years, I can say that if I ask, can I get a volunteer to move this chair? Can someone volunteer to move this chair for me? All right. Okay, just put it over one foot. Okay, now you can go back. This guy is destined for bigger things. Why? They're the kind of people I see who end up in spaces. When there's a responsibility, they are right there. They step up. That's what that word means. Step up. Moving toward taking responsibility. Stand up. This one many of you are good at already. Stand for those positions of responsibility in your school and your society. A lot of us fear failure. So we say, I'm afraid to stand for that position because I think I'll fail. But I can tell you from watching young people for many years, whenever you stand up for a position, even if you don't go through with the number of votes that maybe project, you never lose the confidence, the strength that is forged in you just from putting yourself in the arena for standing up. Build something in you, and one day you will go through. So I just encourage you to keep standing for those positions. Speak up. Find your voice and use it when you see things going wrong, especially where there's hate speech or things that are not being run in the right way. And the last one, style up. Find your voice. Find your own values and your principles and get your act together so that you're an example, so that everyone that looks at you starts to see something beyond just what you're talking about. They can see it in the way you conduct your life. Okay, Mr. Durham, how are you doing on time? Would you like me to stop there? You want to just proceed? Okay, so we're still waiting for another person? Okay, so I'm just going to conclude with this. This is a teaching, some of you might have heard me speak about this already. 7 things you need to be working on right now as a student, as a university student, besides education. All of us think we're going to university, and all we think is just to study. But I think we have seen many people with a first-class degree from university walking the streets jobless because they neglected these 7 things. So as I conclude, 7 things you need to be working on right now, besides education, in order to mold your character for greatness and maximize your leadership potential. Education, of course, is extremely important. Clap for our visitor who has just arrived, my friend Dr. Mohammed there. Education is like a good foundation, huh? To build a house, you need a very good foundation, but you can't live in a foundation. There are other things you need to add. So these 7 things would be like the other parts that make the house suitable to live in. So many other things that go into a building besides a foundation, and there are so many things that go into E, make them easy to remember. The first one is exposure. Kind of exposure I'm talking about here is what we're doing right here today. Anything that helps you to broaden your perspective, your understanding of life. So this means going to workshops. Just go into different seminars, conferences like this. Just see what they are trying to say. What are they trying to put across? All of that is building your exposure. There's a quotation by this, he's like a guru from India, Sadhguru. Have you ever heard of Sadhguru? He has 100 million followers. He has this quotation that says, "It is exposure, not your qualifications, that make you who you are in life." So exposure just means things that are beyond just getting that piece of paper. Things that broaden your understanding. Number 2 is experience. As soon as you finish your university degree, you get your piece of paper, you start moving around, going for job interviews, the first thing they'll ask you is, what experience do you have? And you feel like strangling them because you're a new graduate and you're looking for your first job. But they're asking you, what experience do you have? So it's a very good idea, even while you're a university student, to start to get some experience. You can do this by volunteering, especially in your field of study. But experience also helps you to see what you're good at, what you're not so good at, and it just helps you to guide yourself into areas where you have more potential. So the first one is exposure, the second one is experience. The third one is to exercise, put into practice your leadership trainings and the teachings you already have. In Tanzania, we have started something that's like the younger brother, younger sister of AYLF, and that is called High School Leadership Development. I don't think Daniel Ngoy is here, but we're encouraging AYLF members, go back to your high school, get the notes I'm going to give you from this presentation, and start teaching some of these things. Those of us who stand up here and, speak and influence the youth, we are who we are because we have to stand in front of you all the time. We have to teach these things. So this principle, this one, exercise your leadership trainings, it's pointing to the fact that leadership is like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. If you don't use it, you lose it. So putting into practice is just teaching these things is just a way for you to build up your potential and to maximize what you have. Number 4, we're just going to go to 7 and then we'll stop here. Enlighten yourself. These are 7 things besides education that you need to be focusing on right now. Every kind of media that we consume is mostly either information or entertainment. Ask yourself, how much time am I spending on entertainment and how much am I spending on information? And information of a higher order, inspirational media, has the same effect on our hearts and minds as sunlight does on a small growing plant. Clap for our most recent guest, Ambassador Fred, my friend. He's my ambassador. I'm a Ugandan. He's the Uganda ambassador here in Tanzania. So he was with us last year, and he likes this kind of forum. He likes the way that we are bringing together people across all these divisions. He told me this was the original philosophy of the NRM, the movement in Uganda that President Museveni started. So number 4, we're looking at 7 things that youth need to do besides education. Number 4 is to enlighten yourself. What does this mean? 5 years from now, you're going to be the exact same person sitting there in that chair. But you can become a better version of yourself from the kind of books you're reading, kind of media you're consuming, the kind of people you're hanging out with, and the choices you make about your life. So number 4 is just saying, besides reading the books of law or medicine or education that you're studying in university, find literature, especially inspirational literature, that keeps building you up. When I'm traveling, I usually travel with 3 books. And these are all books that are just giving me inspiration when I wake up in the morning to stay strong and to keep enlightening myself. Because it's just like the sunshine that makes that young shoot that Joran was talking about to grow. It requires, the same way a human soul requires this kind of inspirational content to reach its highest potential. Number 5, we're looking at 7 things besides education. Eliminate the enemies to your character. The first part of our sharing this morning was molding your character for greatness. But there are enemies to developing that good character in us. And you have to work hard to overcome these temptations and bad habits that can hold you back from your potential. Things like laziness, lack of self-discipline, sexual temptations, drugs and alcohol. Life is challenging enough for all of us, but we only make it harder by allowing bad habits to take hold in my life. As I was getting on the plane in Uganda yesterday, in the lounge, I just met a friend I had not seen for like 10 years. He was telling me that his oldest son has started university in the States. And I said, how is he doing? He said, well, he's settling in. It looks like he's making friends, he's working hard. And then the father said, I thought that if he was given that kind of freedom, he would just be in his room on video games. But now he's seeing that the son is overcoming these things that can be an enemy to our character. At this stage of life, as young people, most of you you're leaving childhood and you're moving into full adulthood. You're in the process of changing from being boys to men, from being girls to being women. And in the past, African cultures had like initiation rites to signal that transition that takes place. And that is kind of lost today. I read that in Tanzania here, in some of the Maasai communities, for the boys to be considered to be men, or I think they call them moran, boys had to go in a group and go to out into the bush and kill a lion together. And if they could kill a lion and bring it back, and the lion didn't kill them, then they were recognized in the tribe as true men and not just boys. I don't recommend going into the game parks and killing a lion. They might arrest you here. The Ministry of Tourism would not be very happy with that. But in the same way, you as youth, you're at a stage of your life where you're facing lions of a different kind. Both boys and girls, that will determine whether you become a real man or a real woman, especially a man of God or a woman of God. And the lions the youth are facing today are things like, I've mentioned, drugs, alcohol, sexual temptation. Even poverty is a lion. It's a very dangerous one. You have to figure out how to conquer that one, because if it gets a hold of you, it just kills your potential, it devours you. So number 5 was about eliminating the enemies to your potential, to your character. 7 things besides education. Here's number 6. Expand your network. All of us are very familiar with the idea that to start a business, you need capital. But many people don't realize that to start a life today, you need another kind of capital. It's called social capital. meaning the network that you cultivate, that you developed right from this age, of your friends, your family, your mentors. It's something that you have to intentionally cultivate. I never really got this growing up. No one really taught me this, but I see it so vividly now that the young people who are really good at just creating networks, often, especially in today's economy, are the ones who get jobs and opportunities compared to those who don't really understand this concept. And the last of 7 things besides education: entirely surrender your plans to God. I think God has bigger plans for most of us than we have for ourselves, but we're often fear to just allow God and tell God, here I am, use me, take me where you want to go. And in that process, we actually block our potential. So 7 things to mold your character for greatness and to maximize your leadership potential. As we conclude, exposure, experience, exercise, whatever trainings and teachings you already have. Number 4, enlighten yourself. Read inspirational books or watch inspirational media outside of your course that you're doing at campus. Number 5, eliminate the enemies to your character. Number 6, intentionally learn to cultivate friendships with your mentors and your friends. You look around this room right now. If you had a WhatsApp group, I don't know if we're going to create one for this event, look at the people in this room and imagine where they're going to be 20 years from now. Imagine if you stayed connected to everybody in this room. 20 years from now, you can pick up phone and call MPs, directors. This is where your generation is headed, but most of you don't really understand this thing of networking. And then lastly, as I said, God has big plans for us, bigger than we have for ourselves. And there's something that gets catalyzed in us when we just tell God, here I am, use me, and we just allow Him to start to direct our future. So, with those few words or many words, thank you guys very much for your kind attention. And love to all of you. Okay. Hand over to our MC here. Oh. If you would like this material, let's pass out the handouts first of all. Where are they? Those green bags? Yeah, go ahead and just give, there's enough for everybody to get a copy. On the handout it has my name, Tim Kreuter. If you want this presentation I've just given, my email address is simply timkreuter@gmail.com. Just shoot me an email. I'll give this to you. I practice copylefting. Everything I have produced, I've left it for others. I don't do copywriting. So you can use this, you can teach this, you can benefit from it however you like. Once again, thank you guys very much for your kind attention.
Can you put your hands together again for Dr. T? Thank you so very much, Mr. Tim. Thank you for having a very good session with us. I know he has put his more than 2 or 3 decades of experience on a few slides just to share with us what we can learn, what we can get out of this particular session, and see how we can also be able to go back and transform lives in our community, transform lives in our society, and how can we also go and impact the bigger group. So, I don't know if there's anyone has a question. If there is, I would like to take 2 or 3 minutes before we proceed. Anyone that has a question?
Or a comment.
Or a comment, please. Yes. Can you help me with the mic there? You can introduce yourself, you're coming from which university, and you can make your question brief. Okay.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm Athman Salmin, the president of St. Joseph University College of Health and Allied Sciences. And here is my vice president. But also in that table, there are leaders from our college. But also I'm the Cornerstone All Student Association, COSA, from 9th generation, resplendent generation. So by saying that, I'm totally a family of Africa Youth Leadership Forum. But also I was a chief coordinator of A1F there at St. Joseph before I became the president. So my question is depending on the topic, which said mold your character for greatness. But as we know, there is this quote which say that get money and I know your character. Or be great, have an authority, and then I know your character. So it seems like attaining the greatness, perhaps in the process, somebody can be humble and consider those tips to become great, but after attaining that top position, and then they might end on distraction. So my basic question is, what are the key signs that indicate that after attaining that greatness, you are going to be destroyed, you are going to go back? That's the basic question. But also, from your wisdom, Uncle Tim, what are the things that are we supposed to consider when we are at the top? Unless otherwise, I would like to remind you, when you came at Cornerstone Leadership Academy, you gave us this quotation which states that the cave that you fear perhaps might hold the treasure of your life. Thank you very much.
Do you have another question, please? Yes, I'll go.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Hassan Saif Ali. I am the student from Dr. Salim Mohammed Salim Center for Foreign Relations. I'm addressing my questions as follows. In today's fast-paced world, how can leaders consistently uphold the integrity while dealing with pressure and competing in priorities?
Consistently hold. Say it again.
In today's fast-paced world, how can leaders consistently uphold the integrity while dealing with pressure and competing priorities? That's number one. But also, Uncle Tim, in your presentation, you quote the quotation from Martin Luther King. Once he said, everybody can be great because everybody can save. Then also Martin Luther King proceed to say, you don't need a college degree for you to save. You don't need to know about a Plato and Aristotle for you to save. You don't need Einstein theory of relativity and physics for you to save. So I need to know, Uncle Tim, what exactly needed for a person to save, because we as a youth nowadays, we consider and we believe for us to save, we need a college degree. We need to know about Einstein theories. We need to know different philosophers for us to save. What exactly Martin Luther meant when he said on that quotation? Thank you.
Do you have the last one? Can I take only 3? Thank you.
Good morning, everybody, and thank you, Tim, for your keynote. I am a strategic communications consultant with the Uganda High Commission today. My question for you is in relation to your comment regarding if you don't know the object of the game, you are living aimlessly. Forgive me if I haven't phrased that correctly. I wonder what consideration you have for young leaders who are extremely ambitious and have a lot of leadership potential. However, for them at this current time and for the foreseeable future perhaps, the object of the game is survival, because that can be a reality. What advice do you have for people who are equipped with so much potential, but are also navigating what can feel like a tightrope between that and just the realities of living day to day? What would be the breakthrough strategy, in your words, to overcome that? Thank you.
Thank you. I think you can close it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Tough questions, but I like it. Athman was the first, and he asked this question about what are the signs that indicate when someone is heading toward destruction? What is it that, you start to see someone, they started out well, but they are not really heading in the right direction. And there's this quotation that says, talent will take you to the top, but it's character that will keep you at the top. So I would say, Athman, when people start to compromise their values, and this is tough, because I said, self-leadership is that bridge, but all of us get tempted, all of us get lazy, all of us, we want to compromise. The things that we know ourselves are really our core values. And I think when someone starts to compromise in that way, that's when you can start to see them going down. Because of that quote, talent can take us to the top, but it's only character that can keep us up there. So, as talented as we might be, the character aspect, if we neglect it, will be the indicator that we're going to start going downhill. Hassan, I think it was, asked, how do you consistently uphold your values while dealing with a fast-paced world where everything is shifting? Yeah. I mean, character and values are consistent. The same character qualities that Jesus talked about 2,000 years are still the ones that are operative today. So the world is changing, and it's changing at an ever faster pace. But I think these values are eternal, and they're universal. They're not just for one religion or one group or another. And the way Jesus put it, he said, whoever hears these words of mine and puts them into practice will be like a wise man who built his house on a rock. So as leaders, we're constantly navigating these different competing influences and competing desires that we have, but it's very tough to stay consistent. And he asked a second question, Hassan. He said, this quotation, everybody can be great. I think that was when you said, Martin Luther King said, you don't have to have degrees and all these things, right? I think what he was saying to us is what I was saying earlier. Like, as soon as we say that word, great, in our minds today, we're thinking about things that the world considers great. Money, fame, positions of power. The instant you leave this body, all of those will be nothing. The only thing you'll take with you into the next chapter of things is what you have done for others. And this is why Jesus said, seek first the kingdom of God, and all these things that you use the word pagans are chasing, will be added to you. For us, we get it the other way around. We want to chase all those things, and then we want to come back to God. But he said, you just have to have this this idea, this compass that whatever I do in life, it has to contribute to the greater good of society. That's how I myself define that word, seek first the kingdom of God. It doesn't mean sitting in a church praying from Monday to Saturday for a visa for America, when you don't even have a passport, but you're praying for the visa. Like, we've seen some people, like, they interpret seeking first the kingdom of God as being super religious and being in a church all week long. To me, it's, or a mosque, I don't know if it happens there. to me, the whole world, Jesus said, let the kingdom of God come on earth as it is in heaven. So whether you're in banking, whether you're in government, whether you're in business, you can use whatever you are talented in or whatever platform you have to further the kingdom of God. So like for this event, I don't know, Jerome, how much money we've spent, but the money that's coming to fund AYLF, it's coming from business guys. Guys who have made a lot of money, they have, we have what the world calls success. But they're looking for something beyond success. They're looking for significance. So this question of survival, yes, there's a lot of people who are trapped at the level of survival, and that might be the object of the game for them. But if you just, all your life, you're still in survival mode, which is looking for financial security, basically, you will never really tap into the greater things that will allow you to be a person of significance. You will experience success, but there's something above success, and that is significance. And this is why Mandela said, it is what you have done for others in life. And this is why Jesus said, if you want to be the greatest, just be the servant. Now that's so counterintuitive, and we don't like it, because our definition of greatness means I can sleep in Hyatt Regency, I can drive Range Rover, that's how we ourselves see it. But all those things, the instant we die, they're left behind. I saw my mother die right in front of me when I was 20 years old. We were in a car accident driving from Uganda to Kenya. And I could see that kumbe, life can go just like that. And what are we going to have in our hands when we meet our Maker? So to me, significance, you start at survival, maybe you want to get up to success, but then there's something above called significance. So when I was 19 like many of you, maybe a little bit older than that, those things were challenging my thinking. And I could see this quotation of Jesus that if you seek first the kingdom of God, all these things will be added to you. So I decided to go straight into significance. I had no money, I had no success, but I started doing things that were impacting people. The first 13 years we were married, my wife and I did not own a plot of land or house anywhere on planet Earth. It was like God was testing us. Seek first the kingdom of God, and all these things will be added. I told her I'm not going to take a job just because there's money in it. I want to see that it's adding value to people. So 13 years went by, and then things started to change. And right now I travel the world. I have more than one house. I just saw that this verse came true in my life, that if you dedicate yourself to these higher things, that the universe has your back on all these things that people are struggling for survival and success. I think I'll leave it there. Time is going, but thanks again, all of you, for your wonderful audience, and I wish you the best.
Thank you so much. We are going to go to our next agenda, but at AYLF, Family of Friends, we are nurturing talents, and we have talented individuals. So I'd like to hear first from, we have from Ranley. He has a song that he's going to sing for us before we go to the next speaker. But I'd like to echo what Dr. Tim has just said. He really emphasized so much about character from his presentation, how he was answering the questions. I remember this somewhere that says character is like a good character or a good attitude can take you to higher places. Like attitude is altitude. So if it's a wrong attitude, it's a bad attitude. Then it's like a flat tire. You can't go anywhere unless you change it. So I think as you leave the room, remember that he spotted three main things when he spoke about the great leader or anyone that wants to be great or to serve at the greatness level. He mentioned about how can we be available to save others, and also having the humility in us. So when we can be saving others and have the humility in us, it's very easy, or I'll say not so easy, but it's very possible for us to move to where we want to go, to unleash the full potential in us. So the humility is one of the big aspects, I would say, and because he has emphasize more about it. And the unconditional love, the humanity, what Jesus Christ preached to us back in the years. You know, we are reading the Bible now, we can see. We read the Quran, we can see what the apostles back in the days, they used to put more emphasis, and we cannot do anything without love. So the foundation of it all is love. So thank you so much, Dr. Tim. And I'll take this an opportunity to bring Branley on the stage, and then we can proceed to the next agenda. Please put your hands together for him.
Good morning. Good morning. Habari za asubuhi. Yeah, Uncle Tim, thank you so much for your presentation. I hope everyone has learned in one or the other. So, if you're joining AOLF for the first time, karibu sana. This is a corporate formal event, but again, we're a family. So, we are trying to balance that. A moment of being serious, listening to Uncle Tim, but a moment of smiling. So I'll ask you to raise on your feet where you are. Waheshimiwa sana, please just raise on your feet where you are. We're going to sing one song. After this song, we'll be listening to a very amazing speaker. We are privileged to learn from him last year, but we want to a bit refresh before we go to that song, to that session. Well, so there are simple words. You say, you're my brother, you're my sister, we're one big family. And AOLF can help you again to network and connect with many other friends. So as we sing this song, just move around. If you've seen a new friend, you've seen someone you're meeting for the first time, just shake hands with them and say, you're my brother, you're my sister, we are one big family. And of course, as you're moving, you never know what will happen. So maximize this opportunity. Oh, you're my brother, you're my sister, we are one big family. Oh, you're my brother, you're my sister, we are one. Hello in the house. I see people are very strategic. I say move and say hello, don't take a phone number. Well, so where you are, I want us to try and sing as a mass together. Oh, you're my brother, you're my sister, we're one big family. I want to hear you. You're my brother, you're my sister. So we put our hands on there, like this, like this. Well. Now for the very last time, you can hold the hand of your friend if they are comfortable. Hold the hand of your friend. And we try for the last time without the beat. I want it to be silent. So we'll sing now together. We say, oh, wewe kaka yangu, wewe dada yangu, sisi familia moja. Let's try and sing together. Oh, wewe kaka yangu, wewe kaka yangu, wewe dada yangu, wewe dada yangu, sisi familia moja, sisi familia moja. Well, tujipigie makofi. You have done a great job. Over to you now.
Very much, thank you, Bradley. We can get back to our seats. I also like to recognize the presence of our guest of honor and other distinguished guests. I know we have Honorable Fred in the house. Please put your hands together for him. Thank you so much, sir, for having a time with us. We appreciate you, and we really honor your time that you have put to get today for us. We also have Honorable Eric Shigongo, our brother, who is always ready to be with us whenever we want to be with him. Thank you so much, brother. We also have Dr. Mohammed. We appreciate you, sir. Thank you for taking time together for us. We also have Dr. Tendo. Doctor, thank you for making time for us. Yeah, and Madam, I will not get your name, but thank you for making time with us. Yeah. And to all of us, the participants, thank you for making this a good event. You know, without your presence, we couldn't be able to make the way it is now. So put your hands together for yourself. We have 21 universities in the house, and I would like to quickly mention one by one so you can also of the universities, and you can maybe quickly gate up when I mention your university, just wave, and then for the rest who are sitting, you can clap for them. It takes time and an effort and commitment to make time for an event. So we have RD University. If you can gate up, please clap for them. Thank you for making time for us. We have Tudako. I was in Tudako 10 years ago, and so it's good to see you here today. We have Water Institute. Asante kwa kufika. We have University of Dar Es Salaam. Great, it's good having you here. We have East Africa Statistics Training College. Karibu sana. We also have St. James Engineering and Health. If you can, all of you get up and then we can clap for you, wave to us. St. Joseph, wow, good number. We also have NIT. Asanteni sana kwa kufika. We have Institute of Social Work. Thank you for making time for us. We have MUHAS, Kampala University of Tanzania. We have CBA. Asante sana. We appreciate your presence, sir. We have DIT. Well done. We have Center of Foreign Relationships. Relation. We have TIA. Thank you for making time for us. We have National Tourism College. Thank you for having time for us. We have TPSC. Tunaheshimu wenu pia. We have Mwalimu Nyerere. Thank you. We have Dar Es Salaam Maritime Institute. Thank you. We have Duse. So please put your hands together for all of us who have made this. Thank you very much. So without taking much of your time, I'd like to go to the next agenda, and we are going to grab the wisdom from our brother, Honorable Eric Shigongo, who is a member of Parliament, who shows our constituents, an entrepreneur, author, and is also a CEO of Global WhatsApp. Global Group. Thank you so much. So please put your hands together. He's going to be speaking to us. He has a topic, inasema, from the street to the parliament, the skills needed in the 21st century. Tuweze kusikia nini, nimemsikia mara nyingi akiongea mheshimiwa tangu anasema kuhusu alipotoka familia yake mpaka anaanza kuwa mwandishi wa vitabu, sababu ni mwandishi wa vitabu kadhaa na wengi tumevisoma. Nadhani generation ile ya miaka ya nyuma kidogo, we all know about his books. I've read some, and also he has done businesses. He's an entrepreneur. So before he jumped into political space, what are the skills needed? Because I believe there are those skills that he had to apply before that took him to where he is now. So we want to hear that wisdom from him. And later on, along with that, we understand that there's a one word that the late Dr. Miles Monroe said. I think Mr. Tim has highlighted as well. Alisema kwamba die empty. So whenever you want to do, how do you unleash your purpose? I mean, your full potential. How do you save your purpose? Make sure that you can also be able to save others. How do you give it to others? So we're able to see today, they have an example, they have an evidence of what they have given back to us. So we want to hear that particular thing. So die empty, Joram may start living that value, or I would say, living that character of giving back to other people by sharing his knowledge. He has written a number of books, I think 6, and they are all on Amazon. So Honorable Eric also speak about that book as well. I think we have to today. So he speak about it today. Karibu Mheshimiwa, and let's put your hands together for Mheshimiwa Eric Shigongo.
Habari za asubuhi. Sawa. Habari za asubuhi. Naomba nichukue nafasi hii kutambua na kumshukuru sana Mheshimiwa Balozi. Asante kwa kuja tena. Nakutana na wewe leo mara ya pili hapa ukumbini. Nimshukuru sana Joram na kunialika tena. Huwa wanasema ukialikwa mara ya pili na maana ulizungumza vizuri mara ya mwisho. Kama ningezungumza vibaya wasingeniita tena. Joram, asante sana. Waheshimiwa wote walioko hapa, kaka yangu, ndugu yangu, team, karibu. Tumekutana mara ya pili hapa kwenye ukumbi huu. Arrangement tofauti, lakini tumekutana tena. Karibu Tanzania. Waheshimiwa wote, mabibi na mabwana, ndio waliko hapa leo. Ni heshima kubwa kwangu kupata nafasi ya kuzungumza kwa mara nyingine na vijana wa Kitanzania. Na huwa nikizungumza Kiingereza natoka sana jasho, sababu sio lugha ambayo nimeizoea. Sasa nafikiri wako watu ambao wanasumbuka kidogo na Kiswahili, na tunakutana mara ya pili tena. Kumbuka vizuri sana. I remember you, we met again a month ago or somewhere else. I was just saying, when I speak English, I profusely sweat because it's not my mother tongue. Okay. So ndachanganya kidogo ili tuweze kuelewa. Joram, umenipigia simu, nilikuwa nyumbani. Naomba nizungumze ukweli. Nimerudi kutoka safari usiku. Sasa siku nyingine tukialikana tunakumbushana the day before. Sababu nilikuwa niko nyumbani, sisikii vizuri, nilikuwa nimesafiri kidogo. Lakini namshukuru Mungu nimeweza kumanage kufika. Na mke wangu ameniambia nenda. Disappoint sana Joram usipokuwa. Kwa hiyo naomba nimshukuru Mungu amenipa nafasi ya kusimama hapa mchana leo. Kwa wale ambao hawanifahamu, waliona kama mara ya kwanza, mimi kama nilivyotambulishwa, naitwa Shigongo Eric James. Ni mfanyabiashara. Kwa kweli, ni mfanyabiashara, lakini nilipata kipaji cha Mungu cha kuandika. Kipaji. Mungu tu alinizawadia uwezo wa kuandika. Sikufundishwa na mtu yoyote mahali popote, wala sikupita chuo chochote cha kufundishwa kuandika. Ni talanta ya Mungu alinipa, akaweka ndani yangu, na talanta hiyo ndio ilifanya mimi nikaandika vitabu vyote mlivyovisoma. Ndugu zangu wa Tudako wako hapa, nimesoma Tudako, nimekuta mtaifa zangu kwa siku. Nimezikuta, wameniongelea kama nilipata 4.8, sio? Lazima waambie. Kwa hiyo nilipata zawadi ya Mungu ya kuandika. Kwa hiyo wengi mmenifahamu kwa sababu niliandika vitabu na mkasoma vitabu vyangu. Generation ya MC kama nilivyosema, walioko hapa ndani najua mmesoma vitabu vyangu. Wangapi wamesoma maandishi yangu mahali popote? Waliwahi kusoma maandishi yangu mahali popote? Asanteni kwa support yenu. Sasa mimi ninataka, first of all, I would like to endorse what Tim just said. Tim, I came in the middle of your presentation, and I agree and I endorse everything you say, especially on your character. Because I believe the foundation of success is character. If you have no good character, forget about success. So you spoke about character, and I agree it is character that made me to be who I am. Now with character is a battle. Every day is a battle. Because everyone else is doing something, though it's taking them astray, but it's a trend. Everybody's doing it. But for you to discipline yourself and say, I'm not going to do that because it's not taking me to where I'm going. It's a battle. It's a fight. So you must cultivate good characters. I endorse what Tim just said, and I always enjoy when you do your presentation. I like your presentation style. So mine will be a little bit of a testimony. It's going to be more of a testimony. Takuwa kama ushuhuda tu, yale ambayo Tim ameyazungumza is exactly what happened to my own life. My presentation will be more of a testimony. For someone who is listening to it for the first time, it's going to be a little bit of a story, and then within that story, you learn something. Everything that Tim has been saying is easy within my story. I was born many years ago, back in 1969. 69 is a long time ago. I was speaking to my daughter just yesterday evening, and I said, "Yes, Dad, when were you born?" I said, "It's 1969. No, 69 is too long. Did you see the, were you not taken for a slave?" She thinks 1969, it was during slavery time. So I was born long time ago, especially for most of you. In a family of two impoverished, poor parents. My mother and my father. We were 9 of us. 9 of us. Because we lost one, we were 9 of us. And in a very, very poor family. I share this story wherever I go, because I want to inspire someone. To make someone who feels like nothing good is going to happen to him or her, believe that if it happened with Eric, it can as well happen with him. So it was a very poor family, back in the villages. Father and my mom were very loving parents. God rest them in peace. So they did not go to school. They were not educated at all. They did not know how to read and write. But they insisted much on education. So they took us to school. So, as you must all be aware of, a kid is born with all the abilities, believing he can do anything in the world. I wanted to be a doctor as a little boy. Went to school believing that one day I'll be a doctor. Treat people, sick people, heal people. So I was taken to school. But because of the environment, how people treated me, my family, I would be nothing in this life. Because in the streets, they called me names and I pre-arranged. You understand what I mean? So I keep on moving. Now, the moment I walked into the room, the interviewers were there. One of them said, "Hey." All the questions, the answers mixed themselves. You know what happened? What's your name? I'm 26, I'm 17 years old. Why do you want to be a nurse? My name is Eric Shigofu. So I messed it up. But one of the interviewers felt mercy and said, "We're going to try this kid." Because I started crying and told the story about my family. I was from a poor family. Now help me to get into this college because I want to change my family story. So they put me to the college. I ended up cramming. You know, in medical school, they teach difficult subjects. They taught me about difficult terminologies. So I ended up cramming. It was cramming. I did not know how to speak a single sentence in English. Can you imagine? They took me to nursing school. So there it was cramming. Long terminologies. You know, medical school. We have medical school students here. Medical school students. You guys are studying very difficult things. They told me to cram, and I was Paphlococus, Diplococcus. You understand that? I crammed. Imagine cramming, and finally I became at the top of the class. Cramming. Anatomy and physiology. Microbiology. I crammed all of things. From craving, team and went to be the top of the class. That's where I just felt that I wasn't down, but the environment made me feel down. I was taken to another college. Then I said, no, I don't want to become a nurse because nursing was for females. I believed so. So I quit. Went to another college. They call it Rural Medical Assistant Colleges, where they teach rural medical assistants to go treat in the villages. You are not allowed to treat in town. In Morogoro, an area called Kiosa. I spent 3 years there and graduated at the top of the class again. So I just felt that I wasn't down as people called me. I wasn't down as I was labeled by the world. I was walking with the label behind me that I'm a dumb kid. But I said, I am not down. That moment in my life, I said, now, because I know the truth, I am going to fight all my life until I am the top of the world. I will fight until I prove people wrong. I will fight until I change my family story. People never respected my parents. I said, now I'm going to fight until people start respecting my mom and daddy. So that was the drive in me. You must have a reason why you want to succeed. Without a reason, you'll never succeed. I said, my number one reason is to prove people wrong and to make people respect my parents. Because we used to live in a small shack, small house, and surrounded by rich people. So we were actually the only impoverished house family in that neighborhood. Some of you in Mwanza, right? I grew up in Mwanza, an area called Meko. Do you know where? Somebody knows Meko? You know where I live? You know our house? It was just a small house surrounded by rich people. If it was Dar Es Salaam, then it would be Mikocheni, but we are the first people to live in Mikocheni, and the rich people came later on to build their mansions. So nobody respected my family. Nobody treated us well. We were isolated by rich kids. I was angry. There was anger in me. I said, when I grow up, I'm going to make my mama respected. When I grow up, I'm going to make my parents respected. When I grow up, I want to be somebody in this country. People should know I existed. Imagine if I died back in the 1990s. How would you know me? I said with anger in me. Should I call it anger or anything? But it was such a fierce passion in me. I said, I want to break my father's record. My kids won't have to go through what I went through as a kid. So I fought. Let me tell you this. It's not going to be easy, my friends. It's not easy. It's a fight. We live in the world. I said last week somewhere I was invited to speak. I said, the world is not a good place to live in. It's a fight every day. People are not ready to give you positions. Nobody is ready to give you their position. You have to fight to have a chair at the table. You have to fight. Nobody should lie to you, it's going to be easy. It's a fight. They don't want you at the table. You have to fight for you to have a chair at the table. It's not going to be easy, it's a fight. We are born in this country. It's a great country, I'm telling you. We have everything to succeed in this country. The infrastructure does not allow you to be in a state house. The infrastructure does not allow you to be a minister, to be a member of parliament, to be successful. It doesn't allow you. You have to fight. Because people would try to block your moves. to put obstacles and hurdles before you. That's how it works in the world. It's not complacence. It's not about itafika tu. Hakuna. Duniani kuna watu kabisa wako tayari kukuua, wako tayari kukuzuia, wako tayari usipate. Ukitaka kupata wanakufanyia kila aina ya figisu usipate. Ndio dunia ilivyo. You have to fight. I fought. I fight every day. Even this morning I was fighting. Because nobody will allow me to be where I want to go. This is the truth. You're speaking to a person who came from there. And I'm still moving to where I am going. I know my destiny. I know it's not going to be easy. People try to punish me. People try to ruin my name. I know. But I will fight. Until the day that I die, I'll be happy that I lived the full and I am dying what? So you must have that passion. Don't be satisfied. Don't be satisfied. Never be complacent. I know some of you come from families just like my family. Some of you here hail from families just like my family. I'm here to tell you today, you can be anything you want to be, but it's going to be a fight. A fight. Keep adding value to yourself. Keep adding value to yourself. Adding value to yourself. Never be the same this year and next year. Keep adding value to yourself. I work hard to add value to myself. The way I am this year, it is not the same as I was last year. I have added something to my life. You know, I told you, I never went to secondary school. I don't know anything like Form 1, Form 2, Form 3, Form 4. I have never been there. You can go check the records. See, I kusoma mimi si Form 1, si pre-nini, sijawahi mimi kaa darasani mwalimu alifika form. Sijawahi. I started business with a talent, I told you. I wrote books with a talent. Then back in 2017, a guy called Gordon Gonda came to my office. Told me, Eric, why can't you go to university? I said, I'm a standard 7. And you know what? Before that, in 2010, I contested again for member of parliament. And during the campaigns, my fellow were a master's degree. They were busy telling me, oh, you know, this guy is standard 7. So he's not going to do anything good for you. Forgetting that most of the audience were standard 7. So when I was given the chance to speak, I said, how many of you have master's degree? Nobody. How many of you have a degree? No. How many of you are standard 7? The entire congregation raised me. But to me, it was a pain in me. I was very hurt. I said, one day, I'll be at the university. 2017, Gordon came to my office and said, Eric, you have written so many literary works. You have written so many books. Why can't you go to the university? By then, Gordon was teaching at the University of Tumaini to that. I said, why can't you join? I don't have the qualifications. Eric, you have the qualifications. He took me to TCU. Professor Musiga was then the executive secretary. I took all my books that I had written. I said, Musiga, I have written all these books with the standard 7 education. Why can't you allow me to go to the university? I said, we have a program called RPL, Recognition of Prior Learning. In America, they have it. In Germany, all over the world, they identify people with talents or people who have done great things and allow them to go to university. So I was given an exam. I did it. The first time I failed. The second time I passed. And then I joined stories there. With a GPA of 4.8. And you know what? They called me down. You remember? They called me down and they diminished my confidence. They made me feel stupid by naming me names. In this world, people name you names, bad names, with an intention of killing your potential. My friend Tim just spoke about it. Never accept those names. Those are never your names. Your name is written in the Bible. You are created in the image of God. And you are God's DNA. So nobody should ever give you a name and you accept it. I graduated at Tumaini with a GPA of 4.8. Imagine, I'm a CEO in my company. I have a family. And I graduated very well. I was the best student. That was not enough for me. Because I became a politician. So they said, okay, I think you need to study more. I joined the Open University to do master's degree. 2 days ago, I graduated again with a master's degree. Just 2 days ago. I keep on moving, I am not stagnant. I keep on moving. One day, you will see my name. One day you say, he said, and look, here he is. I am not satisfied with what I have. I keep on working every single day, adding value to myself. Next week, I'm registering for my PhD. Trust me. And you know why I'm doing all this? I'm doing this to inspire somebody who's out there giving up, who says, I'm standard 7, so I can never be anything. I'll be a PhD in 3 years, and you will still be on my hands. Why am I doing all this? And why am I saying this? Kwa nini naambia vitu vyote? Naambia vitu vyote kumtia mtu moyo katikati yenu. Mtu ambaye anaona kwamba haiwezekani kwake. Ndugu zangu, inawezekana. Unaweza kuwa chochote kwenye taifa hili, hakuna mtu wa kukuzuia. Wala watu wasikulebo ukaanza kujua kwamba I don't deserve it. You deserve it. You can be the president of Tanzania. You can be prime minister. You can be the richest person in the country. You can be the highest respected preacher in this country. The same country, the same continent of Africa. Now listen, son of a poor person, the father did not go to school. Mama would not go to school. Today is a member of Parliament. This is the true example of what the team was talking about. It involves hard work. Hard work. You have to work very hard. I don't believe only in working smart, but I believe in working very hard. Push yourself. Push yourself more. One step ahead. Don't be satisfied wherever you are. There is something more you can do. A small step every single day. The Bible tells me in Proverbs 16:9, says, you have to keep on making steps, and God will direct your steps. So keep going, keep moving. Don't give up. Don't listen to what people are saying. Don't pay attention too much to the environment. People don't want you to succeed. Nobody wants you to succeed. People love to enjoy to see you in trouble, to see you fail. People who live in a very sadistic environment where people enjoy seeing people in trouble. Say no to that. And stand up, work hard, build a good character, just as Tim said. Elevate yourself. Keep searching for knowledge every single day. Never stop learning. Somebody said the moment you stop learning, you start dying. It was a year I think. Keep learning, read books, educate yourself, listen to people who have been there before you. Take some points and apply it to your life. I guarantee you, you'll be very, very successful. You and I are Tanzanians. All of us are patriotic, and all of us love this country. This country is about you and I working hard to change it. No one else except ourselves. I want you from today to believe in yourself and say, I am going to move forward building my country. We have no time, no more time left. The clock is ticking, time is running. We have no time. Just 1.5 months ago, we had my friend Lawrence Mafuru, and we had my friend Faustin Ndugulile. They were all alive. They did not know what was going to happen next. What are we learning from that parable? What are we learning from that example? The same fate can happen to anyone. The next minute, I might be dead. The next minute, you'll be dead. You never know. They never knew. Faustin had just won the WHO position for Africa. He was just waiting to go. But right now, he's resting in Afghan. The end of the story. What will happen to you when you die? What will people talk about you when you're gone?
You have to turn on Wi-Fi and connect.
What story are you telling us when you leave? What shall we talk about you when you exit? All of us will exit this planet one day. Go home thinking, you're a youth, young, not yet ripe. Think about, if I die, what will people talk about me, and start doing that now? All of us want to die great. And we have role models like Nelson Mandela, Mahatma Gandhi, J.K. Nyerere. You all know how wealthy this continent is. But we make Europe and USA and other countries richer while we continue languishing in poverty. So I want you and I to join our hands and work hard to improve the lives of our.
So before we move to the next activity that he's also going to do it, would like to see if there's anyone that has a question. I'll give you two people, three. Yes, brother, can you get a mic for him? The second one, okay, the last one? Yes, the last one. Sure, thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Daudi Masunga. I'm coming from Kampala International University. I'm serving as a student and a student leader, president of the Kampala International University Student Organization. I want to ask some questions, especially on the Honorable said that people put also on our day-to-day activities as young leaders. So I want to know, how can we challenge, how can we make barriers so that we cannot be able to be challenged, so that we improve. We go step by step so that we improve to reach our destiny. We have seen many of young leaders, when they try to be against or to make their dreams, we see the challenge they face. Some of the challenges, the people kill them, and they make them not to be in any area so that they can pass. So I want to, maybe he can analyze something so that we use it as a channel, so that for us to reach our dreams. Thank you.
Yeah.
Can you keep writing your name, please? Who was the next one, please?
My name is Mr. Hyatt Regency. I'm a former student at University of Dar Es Salaam, but want to ask Honorable Shigongo. He is more successful because he's a book writer and he's businessman. How can he inspire this student now? They believe in employment. They believe in employment, but how you can inspire them after graduating? Don't you think about employment and you think about how you can find another opportunity to get money? Because many students they are believe on employment only. Because it's also I will believe in employment before, but then I don't think now in employment. So how Honorable Shigongo can inspire students to be in an employment program? Thank you.
Haya, asante. Unaitwa nani?
Mr. Zakaria.
Zakaria, asante sana. Mimi naomba niseme hivi, kama ambavyo nimewaambia, people will always put obstacles before you. Yani, utake usitake. You know, growing up, my parents told me, Eric, when you grow up, be a nice guy. Treat people right. They taught me that. And I thought every kid was taught the same thing by their parents. But when I got into the world, I realized probably I was the only person who was taught that. My mother always told me, Eric, usigombane na watu. Kwenye maisha yako, ishi vizuri na watu. Usigombane na watu, sio jambo jema. Sasa nikashangaa nilipoingia duniani, everybody wants to fight with me. So that's where I changed my principles. I started fighting. I'm telling you the truth, unless you want me to lie. Ninadanganya. Kwa sababu, one day my mama called me and said, Eric, nimesikia umpeleka mdogo wako polisi. Kaambia ndio. Siku hizo nimekuwa na roho mbaya. Mama, watu wamenifanya niwe na nini? Na roho mbaya. Sikuchagua mimi kuwa na roho mbaya. Lakini watu wamenitengeneza kuwa na nini? Na roho mbaya. Na mimi sipigani na mtu kwa mikono. When I say fight, I don't mean you use your fists. I take people to court. I use my lawyers to show people that I don't need anyone to mess with me. And once people learn that, they stop playing with it. Nobody plays with America because they know what America did to Hiroshima and Japan. You all know the story. I'm not trying to make you bad people, but I'm telling you for sure somebody will try to block your move, becoming minister, becoming a successful businessman. Whether you were born again or not, whether you were a good person or not, Christ Jesus was a good guy. Very good guy. But you know what happened to him? And he never wanted even to fight. But one day he went to church and he saw people doing business in church. You know what happened? And the Bible does not explain well that story. I'm telling you, that signifies the fact that if anyone wants to block your move, find a way you can continue your journey. I remember one time I wanted something from somebody, and then somebody tried to block me from getting it. You know what? If you put a thick wall before me, but I know on the other side there are people, I will somebody on the other side to bring what I need to his side without me going. Are you with me? Unanielewa? Ukiniwekea ukuta mzito kama huu mbele ya ndoto yangu, mimi naweza nikaacha kwenda. Lakini kuna watu kule upande wa pili, mtu upande wa pili ataniletea hicho hicho nilichokuwa nakitaka na utaniona ninacho. Na ukuta wako umeweka. One day I need something from the government. And then this person is trying to block my move. I said, okay. I called someone. And that someone who was trying to block my moves, put obstacles and hurdle before me, was called by someone and told to call me. Are you with me? Mtu aliyekuwa anizuia nisipate, akapigiwa na mtu mkubwa kuliko yeye, na akampigie shigongo. Alafu msaidie kuipata hiyo. So in this life you have to learn, kujifunza jinsi ya kumitigate kati ya watu wenye kukuzuia. Lakini mwisho wa siku lazima ufike unakotaka kwenda. Ukikubali watakuzuia kila jambo na utakufa maskini, utakufa insignificant, hakuna mtu atajua kama una exist. Niwaambie, it's a battle. Hii dunia unayoiona hii ni battleground. Kuna simba wapo ambao wanaenjoy kila siku, wanapata matatizo, wanakudhulumu, wanafanya kila aina ya ubaya. Wapo hata chuoni wapo. Ni simba kabisa wewe. Umefanya research yako, lakini mwalimu profesa hataki research ipite. Sio? Ni simba. Yaani hapa duniani kuna simba na kuna swala. Simba anataka kula nini? Hata ichaguo nataka kuwa simba au swala. Kila swala maana yake ulinde. Fight. Sitakupa jibu moja na kama ufanye nini. Yaani wewe tumia akili jinsi ya kupita. Build momentum. Unaelewa? If somebody is trying to block you, build what? Momentum, uweze kumvuka. You can and you have those abilities. Usikubaliane na kile ambacho unafanya. Ajira. Wewe ongea ukweli. Ukweli kwa hiyo. Back in 1961, tupata uhuru, tulikuwa na university hii. University of Dar Es Salaam. Na waligraduate watu 7. Mwaka 61. Watu wangapi? 7. Tukija mpaka 74 hapa, ilikuwa bado uko chuo, sawa? Umeshapata kazi. Wale wa zamani wanaelewa. Yaani bado uko chuo, umeshapata nini? Unasubiri tu kutoka uingie benki na benki inakusubiri. Sasa there's a say, there's an add-on saying, yesterday's truth can be today's lie. Yesterday's truth can be today's what? Lie. Employment kwa sasa. Mimi nataka niwaambie ukweli. I have realized if you go somewhere to speak, there are people who like your speech, some people just dislike your speech. And there is no way hapa naongea watu wote mtafurahia ninachoongea. Na watu wataondoka kwa mkasirika, wakamkumbika tunaongea mambo. Tuongee tu ukweli. Na kwa sababu leo umeniita tena na mambo nifurahia nilichokuongea last time. Sio? Au nilikukera? The lie of a century today is employment. It's a lie. It's an illusion. We're not saying don't go to school. I want you to go to school, study and graduate. Like in the yesterday's truth.